All right, so this is it. We finally got it done. 1986 Brat. Let's get into it. All right, so if you've been following along, you know that back in April of 2023, we purchased this 1986 Brat. It was 100% completely all original car that had been off of the road 15 or 20 years and had sat. And the only thing they had ever done to it was occasionally pour some gas in the carburetor to hear it run. The guy we bought it from thought he might be going to go ahead and restore it, and it had a brand new set of tires on it. I think the tires are from 2021, but we're going to go over a list of things that we have done to bring this car back. All right, so one of the first things that we did is we did a complete assessment of the car. We went over it from front to back and to determine what all was wrong with the car. And one of the first things that we had determined that was wrong with the car and we fixed was the bottoms of the doors had rust in it. This car had been up in Colorado some, and you remember back in the early videos, all this was rusted out and gone. I'll tell you exactly what we did to restore it. We took out and treated all of the rust with Pour 15 and Pour Patch, and we rebuilt this whole area right down here on the bottom edge of the door. And there's videos out there that show that. All right, so on the interior of the car, this piece right here where the radio goes, somebody had come in and butchered a wood panel. My son went and found this piece. It does need a little plastic restoration done to it, but it is there and it is complete. And this panel right here, somebody had put a toggle switch in the middle of it, and we bought this piece, which is also in the matching color. The interior has been thoroughly cleaned throughout. Everything's been pulled out. The carpet's been pulled out. We checked the floor pans while the carpets were out. There's no holes in the floor pans. There's also no surface rust that we can detect in the floor pans anywhere. The little car is really solid. All right, so one of the other things that my son did is he took and restored these wheels. I say restored. He cleaned and derusted and then repainted the wheels white. These are a white with a Western style spoke wheel. And I did look at the DOT date on these tires. I was mistaken. They're not 2021, but they are 2020s. Around the 22nd or 3rd week, something I think is what it said, of 2020. But there are no miles on these tires, and they've been kept undercover and out of the sun. This car was originally in Colorado. I don't think they used it a whole lot in the wintertime because this car, while it does have a few little rust spots on it, they weren't major, and any of the cosmetic, easily viewable spots, we touched up and went through and repaired, and even went to the trouble of finding and having the correct color match paint made for this car so that we could touch it up and make it look right. Like I said, it was a Colorado car, and at some point, yes, this car did get caught in a hailstorm, and it could use a new hood. It does have dings in the hood, but hey, that's just part of the patina and the life story of this car. It is what it is, but there are hoods available for it. If somebody wanted to take this thing to a showroom level, this will be a very easy car to take to the next level of a showroom, like showroom new vehicle. This is a survivor. What I was saying about being able to take this car to the next level, this is like I said, an all original car. For a 37-year-old car in original survivor condition, you just can't find them like this. So let's take a look under the hood and see what we had to do mechanically to get this Subaru back going again. All right, first thing we'll start with is we installed a new alternator. We did the water pump and replaced this little hose right here because it's one of the more difficult ones to get to. We got it. We installed a new battery. Battery is from 2023. The valve covers were seeping, so we went ahead and cleaned up the valve covers and put new valve cover gaskets on it. And let's talk about the fuel system. This fuel system has been through extensively. We've gone over it and over it and over it to get it and bring it back to working condition. The fuel tank was removed and we had to take it to the radiator shop. Tank was boiled out on the inside. The fuel lines have been flushed repeatedly. We've gone through 2 or 3 fuel filters trying to make sure we captured anything that was in the system. I've had the carburetor apart 4 or 5 times going through as we worked through that whole process of bringing the fuel system back. The carburetor, I would not say is rebuilt, but it has been cleaned thoroughly and has a new accelerator pump in it and is working like it's supposed to. The car drives and runs very nicely. Also, we put a new set of spark plugs and spark plug wires on it. The engine oil and filter was changed. We're at about 300 or 400 miles after having done that. Probably, if you're going to get the car, would suggest that you go ahead and drop the oil out and change it again, because the car sat around for so long with that old oil in it, and I don't know how long it had been in there before they had changed it. So that would be a good thing to do to try to circulate out any sludge that might have happened to be in the engine. In some of the first videos, when you first heard this engine crank up, it made a little noise. But as soon as we made the first oil change and ran the car for just a little while, this engine got completely quiet and it runs perfectly. With regards to the drivetrain, we had 2 CV boots on the inner CV boots on the front that had disintegrated. We got 2 universal boots that they split boot and replaced both of those, packed them with grease, installed new boots and clamps. We also, I forgot to mention this on the auxiliary fuel system, we added an additional fuel filter out here under the hood to make sure that there's anything left in the system, we try to capture it. With regards to the drivetrain, again, the transmission, we installed a new rear seal in the rear of the transmission, and the shifter was a little bit hard to get in and out of gear, and we figured out what was wrong with that and repaired it. And the shifter now works like it's supposed to. It's got just as much slop as all these old Subarus have, but it shifts perfectly. All right, so one of the last things that I was going to talk about, my son went through and he made the washer squirters work. So the windshield wipers are almost like nearly new, and the windshield wiper squirters work. So what is wrong with the car? Wouldn't be fair to sell a car. My dad taught me this many years ago, and I made some notes, and I'll read from my notes to try not to forget anything. I made a few notes on the known problems, so hopefully I won't leave anything out, because when I sell a car, my dad taught me this, you be honest and you tell everything that you know that's good with the car, but you also tell what might be wrong. And these are very minor problems. Fuel sending unit in the gas tank. For whatever reason, we could not get it cleaned up, we could not resurrect it, and could not get it to come back. But we did test the gauge. The gas gauge does seem to be working like it's supposed to. A new sending unit in the tank should fix the gas gauge. Air conditioner. This is an air conditioner car. The AC does not work. Exactly what's wrong with it, we don't know. It's going to need diagnosis, but the compressor is not locked up. This is a basic sanding compressor. They're not rare or hard to come by. What else did we have? We were missing the lug wrench for whatever reason. The lug wrench that came with the car, somebody had lost and tried to replace it. It's not the right lug wrench. They're available. It's not hard to get a lug wrench for it. Let's see. As you can notice over here on the right front, the front bumperette is off at some point. Somebody clipped it, caught it, pulled it off. We still have the rubber bumperette. I think it could be repaired, and we still have it. It's just we didn't go through the trouble of trying to put it back on. Occasionally you will hear a squeak in the front end, and I'm not sure if it's the strut tower tops or if it's the ball joints. It could possibly need ball joints in the future. And as I said earlier, while it does run good and runs correctly, This vehicle would definitely be enhanced if it had a Weber carburetor upgrade. You would improve your horsepower and drivability. But like I said, it does run and drive like it's supposed to currently. We had, come on over here, we'll show them this. There's one piece of trim that was damaged apparently in the hailstorm that goes along this door. You can find them, they are available used. But it was damaged so bad and wouldn't lay on the car correctly. It was actually more of an eyesore to have it on the car than to leave it off. We actually do still have the piece of trim. It's just not mounted to the car because of the way it made it look. And so everybody knows what the Brat was known for, and that was the jump seats that were in the back of these vehicles. Well, in 1985, the insurance companies came out and they said that they were no longer going to insure these vehicles if they continued to put the seats in the back. So Subaru, in their infinite wisdom, looking to do something to spice these things up a little bit and to make them a little more, I don't know, camper friendly or whatever, they developed these camper shells for the Subaru Brats. And this one is in good condition. There's some few little hairline cracks in the gel coating, but nothing serious. The back of this car does stay dry. It's been in a few rainstorms driving it, but there's nothing major wrong with this camper shell at all. All the windows work, everything's in it. The only thing that's wrong with it, and they're easily attainable, is your lift struts. They won't hold the back glass up.
Let's pull the tailgate.
And you've got this light right here, which needs to be remounted and hung back up, and I think it probably needs to be wired back in, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Yep, there's the wire. It needs to be wired back in, but we didn't want to fool doing all that. All right, so all we got to do now is go for a road test. All right, let's go for a rip. Do what?
You hear it popping back there?
Where?
In the tailpipe.
No. And you can see over there the volt gauge works, speedometer works, tachometer works, oil pressure is above 50, and temperature runs about halfway.
As soon as I hit this ground. Boom, four-wheel drive.
Good signal. Yeah. Just so you know, we have locked in four-wheel drive. We're in 4 high at the moment. A little bumpy.
Great job.
I don't know if you can tell from this angle or not, but yes, you can see it. The four-wheel drive indicator does
keep
work.
it on the four-wheel drive indicator. We're about to go in a low. Yep, and I'll put it back in four-wheel just to show them. Just like that.
It popped in neutral. There it is.
Yep.
Hopefully you can see that lighting up on the dash.
Yep.
From my angle it's a little difficult, but it does. All the indicators do work.
It really is fluid to drive and use the four-wheel drive system. It's very easy.
Just wanted to come out here on this little dirt trail. Nothing, no hill climbing. We're not doing anything serious. We just wanted to. You do need to try to be in on an off-road type condition and gravel and stuff if you're going to use the four-wheel drive.
It's spicy right here.
Gets a little sandy right here. She pulled right on through like it wasn't nothing to it.
Yep.
Slow speed, second gear, 4 low.
Pretty much idled through that.
No, I don't think we got over 2,000 RPM.
You don't have to in this car.
No, this little car is like a billy goat. It just climbs, pulls. It's an old dirt pit, isn't it?
Probably something like that. They got a gravel yard up the road a ways. Alright, you want to get some outside footage of it riding? Probably easiest here since there's no traffic.
One of the things, I don't know if you can hear or not, but the electric fans, I'll get close enough to them, you can probably hear them. So you can hear the electric fans, cooling fans are working. So if you think you might like to own this piece of 1986 history, the Subaru Brat in all of its original glory, you can reach out to me at realworldgarage@gmail.com. Footnote, we are located in central Mississippi and we do have an asking price of $7,000. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, I'll get back with you just as soon as I can.
All right, so after the past few months of owning and working on this car, I have learned a lot about Subarus, about Brats, this generation of Subaru, because they're all the same. The Brat just had the four-wheel drive system, and some of the wagons got that as well. But I'm just going to take a few minutes and nerd out on this car and share the information that I've learned with you guys and maybe the potential buyer so that you can pick up where I left off. So where I'll start is this engine actually was designed by Subaru for aircraft. The timing in this engine is gear to gear. There's no timing chain, so that's part of what makes these engines especially hard to kill. As long as you keep coolant and oil in this engine, it'll run forever. They're great engines. They were designed to go on an aircraft, which has a whole nother level of reliability required. So to say that the engine comes from an aircraft background says a lot about the reliability of the vehicle in the first place. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the reputation that Subaru had in the United States when this kind of started, when they came out with the Brat in the 70s. And then the second gen Brat was really a really big improvement even over the first gen with the way that the four-wheel drive system works. Anyway, this reputation that Subaru had in America before was the Subaru 360, which was a little small, dinky little car that had an awful reputation, had no power, and it was usually just given away at a dealership if you bought like a nice Cadillac or something. And that was America's idea of Subaru. And then they started coming in with these, they started importing these Brats and the little, the station wagons, the Geo wagon, I think. I don't remember what they called them. But anyway, they became very popular, and this was not the most successful car that Subaru ever had, but it's the car that made it possible for Subaru to have successful cars in America. It made America believe that Subaru could be a good car and that Subaru could be something worth buying. So that's what's so significant and important about this car. And they didn't make a lot of them. We just looked it up, and apparently America only got 4,500 of these in the year 1986. So there is only 4,500 1986 Subaru Brats that you can pick from, and this is one of them. So with that, I'm going to show you a few other things, quirks about the car. I'm going to explain how to go into four-wheel drive because a lot of people don't understand that. I've seen people in the Facebook groups having trouble with it, and it's simply just how they're doing it. I should be able to demonstrate without rolling, but to change the gears, it says right here, you should depress your clutch pedal all the way, and while rolling slowly, or you can do it at about 20 or 30 miles an hour, you just gently lift up on the lever. It's like a kind of 2 clicks almost, and that's going to be four-wheel drive. You go up one more time, now you're in 4 low. Sometimes going down, you'll drop right there and you'll think, oh no, what's wrong? It's in neutral. You just go down right there. You're back in 4 high.
Right.
So you got 2 wheel, 4 high, and 4 low. And sometimes the transmission will hang up trying to shift between those if you're not rolling and if you don't have the clutch depressed. It's very important for those 2 things to be going on. Luckily, I'm able to demonstrate it sitting still, but I have had it try to hang up on me if I'm not rolling before. It just kind of depends on where the transmission's at in the rotation. But just wanted to go over that. I think we talked about this, but I'll just talk about the camper shell and why it's unique for the year 1986. They did have camper shells that were sold before 1985, but in 1985, the insurance companies in America made it clear that they weren't going to insure these with the back seats in the back because of their safety concerns. So Subaru's response, because they were still trying to import these as cars, not trucks, that's how they got around a big tax, was importing these as cars, and technically they're cars. but clearly it has a bed. But anyway, they put these camper shells on there as an alternative to having the seats, because in 1985 the insurance company said they would no longer insure the cars with the seats. So that was the response, and I think it goes well with the car considering the year and the history of Subaru.
All right, so if you'd like to see how we got and brought this Subaru back to the condition that it's in right now, why don't you go click on the playlist that's coming on the screen right now.